GG.
That's my friend! And you're found you!
Mama. Ooh. Let's talk about failure today. Today's video is about failure, and failure, in my opinion, is the starting point. And I don't mean it as like a motivational quote or something, you know. If you think about attempting anything and making progress anywhere, you start at not knowing and then go to knowing. You don't start with knowing and then keep knowing. You start with failure and work your way to success, whatever that means in the field you apply to. Maybe it's a cringe cliche, but the reality is that failing can also be devastating, and it can be a learning opportunity, usually both at the same time, if you care about whatever skill or craft you are pursuing. Negative things are perceived much more heavily by the brain than positive ones, due to how we used to have to survive in the world, basically. For example, in the year 1 trillion before Christ, if your friend got killed by a tiger near like a known place, that location and the knowledge of needing to be careful around it gets imprinted into your brain much more heavily than the place of a story where a guy like killed a tiger near another place, if that makes sense. Maybe that's kind of bad, but like maybe it gets the point across. I don't know. I think that is shifting, but some people adapt faster and some adapt slower. The people who adapt slower aren't only like left behind, but are also ruining other parts of society. But that's a completely different topic, I guess. Let's stick on the League. Life is a sequence of failing and learning in a way. You want to minimize the severity of the failure and maximize the learning. That's essentially how life is built up from when we get born, right? If you want to start walking, you have to fall down and don't die while you fall down, and then eventually you'll learn how to walk. It's a lot more intuitive for us to learn how to walk, basically, than learning League, of course, but we can understand things much more easily if we have some simplified analogies, right? Being okay with failure, I think, is one of the skills that League teaches incredibly well, because failure is inevitable, and as I said, it's the baseline. Outperforming the unavoidable frequent failures is the goal in League. That is progression. That is what we will perceive as progression, pretty much. Just think about the context of some of the best League players to ever exist, right? And play solo queue seriously. What is this? What is the TF guy named again? Dopa, right. Dopa or Agurin. Without a duo, it's not even possible for them to smurf through low elo and reach Challenger with higher than 70% win rate on average. That means that they lose about every third game. Think about it. How different is that from you? If you think about your last 50 games that you played, was it really just losses? Or was it also you won 2 and lost 1? Isn't that like pretty frequent for everybody, right? That means that they lose about every third game. And how different is it? If you would win 2, then lose 1 for 150 games straight, you would be Challenger. Isn't that crazy? I mean, if I think about it, it kind of blows my mind, to be honest. Just winning that extra game every 3 games, if you win 1, lose 1, and then winning that other game, that is already Challenger, basically, if you have the consistency to do that for 150 games. It's kind of insane. It's kind of insane. And the margin of skill between Gold and Challenger is completely unfathomable. So despite them being that much better at every skill required to kill the Nexus, they cannot reach more than a 70% win rate. Of course, there's like a variance to this as well, depending on RNG, but it's the most commonly seen win rate from Challenger smurfing to Challenger. So, of course, somebody could get 80% if they have better RNG. If they duo, it's around 80% anyways, but if we're talking about solo queue, because duo is just, it doesn't matter, you know. Stats about duo queuing is completely worthless. So if you're sitting in Gold and want to get to Platinum, you cannot expect to have a 70% win rate and get there, you know? It just doesn't make any sense. The reality is that you have to improve your skill through trial and failure over many, many games, learn from it, and apply it. take it seriously, and then climb with it, like maybe 51% or highest maybe 55% win rate. And 55% is on the very high end from my experience when we talk about marginal improvement translating into visible rank achievements. It's a very slow process, and there are many reasons for why that is the case for most people, especially the elderly community is struggling a lot with improvement because they came into this game when it was a casual game, and skill differences were extremely small. Compared to nowadays when it's extremely hardcore competitive, and even adjacent ranks differ massively in overall skill and pace. If you go from silver to gold, massive skill improvement. Gold to platinum, massive skill improvement. I'm not even kidding, okay? And the high elo community doesn't know about this because they are not in this lower elo bracket, right? But people who play in there longer, like, it is difficult. It's very, 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 you know, it is difficult. You can put as many varies before it as you want because it's insanely difficult. And there's many reasons for why it is, but yeah. And these older players, they've built up so many bad narratives about the game that a newer player coming into the game has a massive advantage over these because of the illogical narratives that are overwhelming the older players, right? That's why we see so many younger players just enjoy through the ranks because they're going in with a fresh point of view, pick a character they like, play it a lot, play to win, and just have fun, you know? And of course, it's not always fun, and there is a lot of like difficulty associated with it as well. But it's a different kind of difficulty because they are lacking all of these bad ideas about the game. Your teammates are holding you back, etc. You know, the whole 9 yards of luck is a factor type of deal, which is just not. You know, if you think about it logically for 2 seconds, you'll realize it's not. And people have a difficult time to criticize themselves, accepting where they are at. You know, if you've been stuck in bronze for 15 years, I mean, you're a bronze player. It's not your teammates. It is what it is. If you get better over a year, you can make it to silver, and that's pretty good. That's okay. That's okay. You know, there's no shame in not being challenger. Basically, that's a thing that people have. You know, it's like, oh my god, I'm gold, but there are people in challenger. Like, why are you even comparing yourself to anyone? You're gold, so accept your gold. Be happy that you made it already to this point, and if you want to go further, lock in and go at it. I mean, there's nothing more to it, you know. Yeah, slowly improving is also a form of failure. That is another thing that's pretty difficult to grasp. Slowly improving is a form of failure because in order to see improvement in your rank, you need to improve and also improve faster than the other guy who wants the same rank as you. I said it slower because people do not understand this at all. If you improve over 5 years and you have become a lot better at the game, what do you think happened to the other people who played the game? You need to improve faster than everyone else to actually improve. Otherwise, you'll go down in rank. Okay? People don't think about it much, but every rank only has a limited amount of... I'm talking very slowly now because these are very important, okay? People don't think about it much because... but every rank only has a limited amount of spots. If you want to get into platinum, that means you will have to kick someone back to gold. There isn't infinite elo. You get elo that you take away from other people by making them fail. And another part is by making them fail, you're literally training your competition. They have now something to learn from how you outperformed them, and the competitiveness goes up. The difficulty goes up through this process over time, and the new standards are established, you know. Diamond players from season 1 and 2 through 3 would lose to gold players from season 14. That's constantly happening, so if you're not constantly playing the game, you're going to fall behind eventually as well. And all of this is just to put into perspective what is actually required to gain success, which is the context for which we can understand why failure is nothing negative, but just the basic starting point to a journey of learning. Keep failing. That's the video. That's basically it. Enjoy the failure, enjoy the learning. It is what it is. Enjoy, enjoy.